All right, we are live, and all those noises were probably heard by everyone. Yes, live. You like that? It's catchy. It's catchy.
That actually
right?
was like, yeah, that had rhythm.
Well, he does teach music, so I hope it has some rhythm. Welcome everybody. This is Tabletop Bob. Welcome to our Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden campaign catch-up. I apologize if you're in some of the Icewind Dale social media groups, Discord, things like that. I did promote this shamelessly the past few days because, there are quite a bit of Icewind Dale campaigns out there, but I've been noticing something. Just like ours is approaching the 20th episode, which is awesome, by the way. Many of the other campaigns are also at the 20-ish episode mark, and I think if you're a new listener, that's going to be really hard to get into. So I wanted to do something where we do this live, where the whole group is here. We kind of recap the events that got us to where we're at, heading into episode 20, so that you could see us interact, get a feel for what we're like, but at the same time, catch you up so you can start watching new episodes right away. What do you think, everyone? That's a good idea, right?
Great idea.
Yeah, great idea.
We'd like to have new people come and join us on our adventures.
Yeah, I'm so glad I thought of it.
On the tabletop.
Tell us about all of the things we screwed up.
Yeah, well, that is true too. Yes, we're not immune to mistakes. Obviously, we do make a few here and there. Some of us more than others, Joey. But many of us, we try. We try. And I think we have a great stream. I think we're following the book, but at the same time we have really some unique stuff to our campaign. I love all of our characters, which we're going to introduce in just a moment. But if you're new to the channel and this is the first time you're interacting with us, you can subscribe down below on YouTube, follow us on Twitch, and welcome. If you're here and you've been watching our campaign the whole time, then welcome back. And I think you'll find this both a refresher as we were going through and talking about some of the things that we had missed or forgotten in the campaign. It was funny finding notes from first session, second session. Yeah. So it'll be a refresher, and I think we'll have a good time describing some of the things that have happened in the past here.
Now, when Bob says he loves all of our characters, he means all 6 of our characters. But you may notice there's only 4 players. So something to look forward to.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Apparently,
this whole episode is spoilers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like it's like watching one of those best of episodes.
Yeah. It's a quick show.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. If you're gonna watch the entire campaign, from episode 1, or I should say episode 0 to now, then yeah, welcome. But stop watching here. We're gonna ruin everything for you.
Yeah, go watch those 40 hours, come back.
Yeah. Yeah, about 40, more than 40 hours. Yeah, it's crazy, right? So
just quickly watch 40 hours of content.
It's really only like 20 minutes of actual D&D. It's mostly us talking about stuff.
That's true. So let's start with the first and foremost. I think the elephant in the room. Joey, what are you wearing today? That's a tank top. I see.
Tank top.
No, it's great. We were trying to get a sex appeal to the campaign, to the show.
We all noticed the haircut last week, and this week, showing off some skin. trying to appeal to some of the listeners, perhaps.
Well, you know the phrase, when there isn't sun for 2 years in Icewind Dale, guns out.
Listen, the white dragonborn. I don't care about the cold.
That's right. All right, so let's. I'm going to turn on some music. This is our Icewind Dale music here. And let's introduce the group here. We'll start with the two characters who have been with us from the beginning. So we're going to start with Joey, and then we'll work our way around to Andrew. Joey, start us off. Who are you playing in this campaign?
I'm playing Rogal V2. He is the group's paladin. He's a white dragonborn that finds himself in the heart of Icewind Dale, and he met the group originally by waking up next to someone who was murdered, and then yeah, it was off to a great start from there.
Yeah, you've always been somewhat of a outcast because of how the group met you. But yeah, we'll talk more about the introduction to the group in a little bit. CJ, tell us about your character.
Greetings, friends! I am Edmund Brycene, friend to elf and man. Wink.
Yes.
Edmund Brycene, rogue, leader of the remaining Three Musketeers, the group's moniker as they travel through Icewind Dale, leading off on adventures to stop to at first solve the crime of who murdered the man that Rogal woke up next to. We were pretty sure it was Rogal at first, but turns out there may have been someone else involved. A conspiracy, if you will.
Sure.
Yes.
And from there, our adventures ensued with my two other companions, Everard the Everhard and Fladrian, the fantastic bard.
Yeah, and that's a great introduction or segue to the two characters we've lost. So let's begin with them. Stefano, tell us about Flair.
Well, I once upon a time played Flair, the half-elf bard, very money hungry. Flair probably believes that Rogal actually killed that guy still, if he were still alive.
Probably.
Flair is very bitter about the 10 gold that was given to the kobolds.
Oh, now you're bringing up very specific details here. Very specific details.
Flair basically he thought of himself as the leader of the Three Musketeers just because he thought he was so wonderful, and everything that we accomplished was all due to his words of wisdom.
Yeah.
And now he's gone.
Now he's gone. We'll talk all about that in a moment. And we'll introduce, I think, Julius, who you're playing now. We'll introduce him when we get to that in the recap.
Sounds good.
Andrew, tell us about your first character, Everard,
Okay, so-
the Everhard.
So my first character, my name was Everard the Everhard, and he wasn't that hard. He didn't last that long. So I wanted to introduce. I actually brought this miniature, which I purchased at great cost from Hero Forge when we started with the thought that I could use him. Although yes, sponsored by Hero Forge for their expensive miniatures.
We do not have sponsors.
No, we don't have sponsors. But anyway, I got this miniature and I painted it up, and he didn't last long enough because he died. What, in the 3rd or 4th episode?
No, you lasted 7 long episodes.
7 long episodes. He was so he was a human ranger. He was the only one of the original 4 who was actually, I think, the only one. He's the only character so far that's actually been from the 10 towns.
Yep.
So he was from the 10 towns, from Targos. He was a soldier. He was kind of drawn into the army when there was attacked by orcs. This wasn't in the story. This is a background.
Correct.
And he ended up being a ranger. He was kind of scarred by that experience. It turned him into a ranger. And I wrote this whole convoluted backstory about he had 5 different siblings, and each had a name, and they lived in a different place, and we we're going to weave it in. But then he ended up taking a javelin to the throat in the Dwagar fortress and kind of getting a 1 on a death save, and that was the end of him. But he was brave, and unlike the others, there was no animosity in him. He loved Rogal, he loved Edmund, he loved Flair. He thought they were destined to stop the endless winter together. He really believed that. Because he'd already been reincarnated once. He was brought back from the dead, from a druid, to stop the endless winter. javelin in the throat, not so
Yep.
much.
He
Yeah,
bravely
accepting
protected
the-
Flair.
Yeah, bravely ran out to save his friends.
Well, some of his friends just hid in the back, taking all the glory at the end.
And if we go back to the miniature, we can find out why he couldn't ever hit anything.
What?
Because the arrow is actually, you probably can't see that, but the arrow is on the wrong side of the bow. If you're an archer, as I am actually an archer, so I noticed that.
Wow. Small detail right there.
Yep, but that doesn't shoot straight.
Well, I will say both your characters were beloved. I think it goes without saying that the characters that end up dying, you'll remember them a lot, because I don't think too many people lose characters. I think it's kind of rare in 5th edition D&D. So the fact that I have a 50% kill rate so far is pretty strong. Pretty strong. So let's start with the recap here. We're not going to go through episode by episode. That would be far too long. All the episodes are there for you to watch in our playlist of Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden. But we'll talk about the beginning. So I'm going to go through and narrate what was happening, and then at certain points I'll kind of ask for feedback or what your thoughts were, and we'll have a discussion about it. So to start the game, I set it up so that the group, which you had all planned in session 0, was going to be Edmund, Everard, and Flair. We're going to be already a group, already a unit. They have been living in Targos for about a month, working at the docks as a ship hand, deck hands, really just making ends meet. You came here for various reasons. Everard was already here, but Edmund and Flair had come here to escape their pasts, and you had formed a bond in that first month of being here.
Someone calls
Rogal,
the Three Musketeers.
The Three
Three
Musketeers.
Musketeers. Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. Rogal, I had set it up so that, based on his backstory and such, he would be coming to Icewind Dale on a boat called the Dark Duchess. And the Dark Duchess got stuck in the ice, and Rogal, along with the crew, were forced to leave. And Rogal got separated from his crew, ultimately ended up wandering through the tundra, was going to die, but then a mysterious man picked him up and brought him to safety. And that is actually the first moment of our stream game. That was the first scene. So Rogal woke up after passing out in the tundra in Targos in a back alley next to a murdered man. And the group, coming back from a day at the docks, found him. Now, when this murder happened, there was something very unique. There was an icicle through the eye socket of the dead man. And when Rogal woke up, he saw a constable, one of the town militia guards, was there ready to arrest him. And then the group came in, and actually, you figured out that it wasn't him. How did you kind of ascertain the truth here?
Well, Rogal didn't really seem smart enough to commit such a murder on his own.
Yeah. Didn't really try and resist or do anything.
Yeah, he was very
Passive.
He said I didn't do it, so like clearly that was kind of enough for us.
Well, I don't know. I had like this giant axe,
Again,
and I was like holding my hands up to this little dude with a knife. I could have easily like taken this dude.
It's
So
also
like,
true.
I was
He
clearly
had an
like,
axe.
a
Why would he kill a
non-violent-
guy with an icicle?
Yeah.
But we're still not sure. Yeah, still not entirely sure that he didn't do it and isn't working with someone.
Don't we
to
know
commit
it was Sephic, or am I crazy?
We do,
We
but you
do.
might be working with him. Again, you might be working with him.
But the real question is, how did we figure it out? I don't remember.
I don't think we figured it out right away. I'm not entirely sure, but we did say like
We decided to trust him.
we decided to trust him that he didn't do it, but we did not immediately assume he didn't do it. We just said we got the constable to come by, a guard, and the guard trusted Rogal more than we did. Because I think The other thing was that we kind of needed the story to start moving along.
I
And
also
Bobby didn't want us to kill Rogal right away.
I mean, the most important part was what we did after he wasn't arrested.
That's true.
Yeah.
We went and got lunch.
Oh
Well-
yeah, we sure did. It was great.
Oh, of course. On the way to tell the lovely widow.
Immediately.
Well,
Find a
somebody,
murdered body.
somebody's dead. Let's go eat lunch.
All right, well, that is the stream for tonight. Thank you for coming. No. So I can explain a little bit of these questions here. So no, the guards did not believe Rogal. In fact, I believe if we go back to the videotape, Rogal was scaring the guard. The guard went to get more like backup or something. But ultimately, oh yes, it was a commoner that found him at first. But ultimately, the guard kind of took your reason because you are adventurers and you seem to have everything under control and explained to him that he probably wasn't capable of doing it. And it is kind of stupid for you to kill someone and then take a nap right next to their dead body.
Oh yeah.
But nonetheless, the guard offered to you offered to help find the killer, which they had heard had been killing people around the 10 towns. You went to the town hall. You also went to back to your inn where Scath, the deputy to Nerth, the leader of Targos, was, and you were able to talk with him and find some more information. And you realized that it was the person who was killed was avoiding the lotteries, and that was the big thing. By the end of this kind of story arc, which took 2 sessions, you did find out that a man named Sefik Caltro was headed around with the dwarf caravan led by a woman named Torgus. He was the killer. You did some investigating, and you found out it was him, or you had a strong feeling it was him. When you approached him,
Torgus, and we never caught him, right?
Torga.
Torga?
Well,
No, you never
thought it was
caught
Torga.
Torga.
No. Sefik
No.
is the murderer.
Right.
Torga is the caravan leader that Sefik was working at.
Yes.
And
Now, what inspired us to check out Nerth's place
we went
As,
there with
Scath?
Scath to just kind of have a discussion in private.
Mhm.
And that's where we discovered a clue to some other stuff that led to some other things later on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There
you
were
found
some flying snakes
We
Yep.
saw
There were
snakes.
some flying snakes.
with blue eyes.
Snakes had blue eyes, and it was very cold
Blue-eyed.
in Nerth's chamber.
Blue-eyed flying snakes.
Yeah, so once you entered Nerth's room to discuss with Scath, because I believe the person who was murdered was a part of the, he was like a town clerk. So you knew there's some connection to the government, and you went to speak with Scath. He brought you up into Nerth's office, and the snakes attacked you. And that was a clue as something was off, obviously. And then will come into play much more recent events that kind of tipped you off to something. So that was the first session or 2, is tracking down Sefik, who was the killer in the 10 towns, and he's still at large. Then you were kind of asked by one of the you actually were approached by a dog.
Boy.
A dog named Boy. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
boy.
a lovely dog.
Yeah, Boy was part of a mountain climbing expedition, and his owner, Garrett, was lost in the mountains at Kelvin's Cairn. You were hired by Garrett's husband to go to Kelvin's Cairn and retrieve him and bring him back home. You used Boy as a sort of like a to find him, to sniff him out, and that was one of the that was your first success, I think, right? Getting Garrett reunited back home.
Yep.
Yeah. Now,
Our first and only success.
Unless you count finding out the murderer was Sefik and then not failing to apprehend him as a success.
failing to apprehend him twice is still So that quest, when it took you up, it was called Mountain Climb, took you up to Kelvin's Cairn. It took a span a couple sessions, but you went to Caer Konig first, because that was a nice jumping off point a stable civilization to go from to get to the cairn. You met the speaker Trovis, who was a silver dragonborn. Joey had a nice, Rogal, I should say, had a nice bond with him over their ancestry. And he told you that some strange things were happening. Items were disappearing, and no one could figure out who was stealing them. Ultimately, who was stealing all of the items in Caer Konig?
It was Flair.
The Dwergar was stealing the items in Caer
It was
Konig.
invisible dwarves.
Invisible dwarfs who had a fortress at the top of the mountain.
I forgot. I wanted to keep a tally of times we almost died. 1, first time we faced Sefik.
Yeah.
2, when we fought that thing, that undead winter ghoul with the light coming out of it on our way to Caer Konig.
That's true. The White Walker, or the the creature you saw in the tundra on your way to Kelvin's Cairn, or on your way to Caer Konig. Yeah.
So the 2 times our party almost died already.
Yeah.
We were quite amazingly incompetent with that walker. It took us so long to kill him.
What made the Sefik fight really cool was the darkness. It wasn't due to actual darkness, because it is always dark in Icewind Dale, but the blizzard that came around limited your sight to, I believe, 30 feet.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
even the elves in the group, who were used to being able to see in the dark, had to rely on, getting up close. And Sefik is quick, nimble, he can teleport. So it was kind of challenging for you to follow him around that city block.
And when no one else could see the 12 wolves that...
Oh, man. I was very scared.
That was terrifying.
Edmund saw 12 wolves.
12 wolves, I remember that. I was so scared.
And he was able to fend him off.
I was able to
hit
defeat
points.
all of them. I was able to scare them all off and save the party.
Single-handedly. He
no
dual-wielded with a single hand. That's how good he was.
Yes.
So after you got to Kelvin's Cairn to save Garrett, you found, as Andrew just mentioned, a Dwergar fortress. Now, this is getting up there now, episode maybe 6. When you approach the fortress, as a DM, I was thinking that you would, when you see something as big as like a watchtower or a fortress laid into the mountainside, you might approach with caution. So I had planned out my session as such, that you would probably be going in and sneaking in. But no. How did you approach? I forget the word we used.
We sauntered.
Yes.
We just sauntered.
We may have glossed over a bit before getting to the tower there.
Don't
Bobby.
forget the epic
We
battle with the
did
Yetis.
Also kill 2 Yetis.
Oh my
Third
goodness.
time we almost died.
Three Yetis.
3 Yetis on our way up the cairn. One of them a baby.
Which you
A baby
put an
Yeti.
arrow right between the forehead?
I
was a
believe that
dagger.
was a dagger.
A dagger, yeah.
I'll give you.
And I
I'll give you
heroically
that.
killed that terrible, terrifying monster, baby Yeti.
But we nearly got.
That
we
was using a gnome halfling as a toy when we showed up.
Yeah. But we would have died then as well, except we got lucky with a strength check and knocked the daddy Yeti over the cliff.
Right,
Otherwise, we were completely dead.
Edmund Brycene, friend to Elf and Man, Wink, and Baby Animal Killer.
Baby animal killer.
Yeah. And skinner
That-
of baby animals.
That baby animal skin got us something very useful later on, though. So
That's actually a very good point you brought up there. Yeah, so to save Garrett, you had to go up Kelvin's Cairn, but the group that he was leading up Kelvin's Cairn, he was like the ranger of the expedition. They were attacked by Yetis, and the group was captured by Yetis. So you were able to send Garrett back down the mountain. I believe you had help from Jarthra, the dwarven
Right. Yeah.
frontiers person at the, I forget the name of the shop there in Caer Konig, but she took Garrett back with Boy, and you went on to find the rest of the the expedition. And when you approached the Yeti cave and found where you believe they were located, you were ambushed by, well, you ambushed the baby Yeti and the mother, and then the father Yeti came home, and it was only due to a strength check from Rogal. Am I correct?
Yep.
I believe that's a.
Yeah, you pushed the Yeti off. We rolled, I think, twice, or were we tied?
It was 2 or 3 times, right?
Yeah.
We rolled. Yeah, it was unbelievable. We tied like twice, and then we had to go to the third roll off to push the Yeti off of the bridge. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure you were all at low HP. You probably would have been TPK'd at that point.
Yeah, we would have been TBK totally.
Definitely would have
And
lost.
no one will forget when Flair bravely led the Yeti over to the ice bridge.
You mean you ran away from it?
Ran away. Yeah.
I
the
ran
safety of
away
your friends?
right after it killed somebody. Was it Asterix?
No, I don't think.
No,
it
it
killed-
knocked Regal out,
I thought it killed somebody.
and then we healed him.
Yes.
Something
Actually,
happened.
maybe Perilu was there, but then it chased after me.
Something happened. It
Yeah.
attacked you, and then you ran right into the cave, back to your friends, and that's where the final encounter happened on the ice bridge. So after successfully, well, at least for the time being, you found the rest of the expedition. You found Perilu, the Goliath, and the Tiefling had both been killed. One by Yetis, the Goliath, the other frozen to death.
Yes.
But
Time
yeah,
when we should have just traveled back down the mountain, having saved Perilu, we could have just left at that point and gone down to the bottom of the mountain.
yeah, Perilu is the halfling, like, rogue type character in the expedition that you saved, but
Saved her, saved
Garrett.
Garrett, and been fine. But no, we decided we had to keep going up the mountain.
Because we saw a polar bear.
There's no reason not to.
Polar bear.
Well, so it kind of tied the quest together. I think at this point you were, for those of you who watch the stream or you at least know the campaign a little bit. There's 2 quests: the Unseen and Mountain Climb. And while they are separate, they do take place in the same location. And I think both of you, or excuse me, the whole group here, thought that they were on like the same quest that had like 2 parts to it. I don't know. Maybe you tell me your thoughts here, but they're separate in the book. But I thought it would be great to at least combine them in some way here, where if you wanted to explore further, you could do it. Otherwise, you would come back down the mountain. So those invisible dwarves, the people who were stealing stuff, you saw invisible footprints. You saw a polar bear, which you thought would be a shape-shifting type creature, like a druid, and you thought maybe that would have been that person would have been responsible for the thefts. So you went and pursued it, but you found the Dwergar fortress and you sauntered up to it, and that's when.
And that is the reason for the sauntering.
Yes.
There was sauntering
Lovely.
done
Here
right
you go.
after. This is right after Edmund and Flair said we should approach stealthily.
Yeah. Yeah, Rogal decided to saunter on his own, alerting the Dwergar fortress that you were coming, so they were ready to rock and roll when you arrived. And unfortunately, as you approached, when you got to the door, that's when all hell broke loose. The door, the main like drawbridge door opened. There was a bunch of Dwergar. They were invisible, some of them. Some were shooting at you from the watchtower. They unleashed an ogre zombie on you, which all happened at once, and it was terrifying. And was there a moment during this because I think this was the first. I know you just said you're keeping track. We're 3 times already where you almost died, but realistically, this was the closest to a TPK that you have come to. Was there some point that you thought it was done?
So for me, when the halfling we just rescued, Perilu Fishfinger, got smashed into a bloody paste by the zombie thing,
That's bad.
and we were like, "Can we resurrect her?" And you're like, "No, she is a bloody paste." We were kind of like, I was definitely, oh, this isn't going well.
Yeah, it was definitely shocking. That
Yeah,
was shocking.
When
yeah, it was shocking.
the party was a little bit fragmented and split up at that point, because I think I had been sneaking. I snuck into the fortress and kind of left everyone else outside. At that point, at a later point, I was like, well, now we're screwed because we can't all focus on any one target, and we're all and that thing out there is just turning people into paste.
We couldn't get to you because there was if we had left our zone, we'd have got shot from the outpost thing.
I thought there was a point where we were in a good position to all sneak into the fortress, especially because the drawbridge was up and that thing was doing a lot of damage, but it didn't end up working out.
Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna bring up the Dwergar outpost on Roll20 and put it on the screen so people can see what we're talking about, because this was a critical moment, I think, in the campaign. So I wanna just highlight it here for a moment.
The moment I had given up all hope was when Edmund got dragged into the prison, and then I just went after him, even though there were about 8 enemies that I had to kill.
Can you bring us to the Dwergar
I am.
fortress?
Yeah, I am.
'Cause that's...
Oh,
I'm
here we
gonna
are.
turn off the light.
Are we
I
on
don't know
Roll20?
if it's on. We don't have to be, but I am putting it on. Is the dynamic lighting off? I think it's off.
Yeah,
It's off.
Okay. All right. So most of the combat happened at the front gate here, and you can see the CJ. You were referring to how Edmund kind of snuck in. You found a little tunnel, in the frozen river here, and that brought you up. So you kind of got in beyond the front lines, and that's when you realized there was no way you were going to win this, right?
Yeah, like I thought. My initial thought was that we were going to walk up to this place, and the people there were going to greet us like cheerfully. That did not happen.
Yeah, that was my complete assumption.
My complete assumption was like, oh, cool, a fortress. Like maybe it's run by like a noble order of paladins or like a noble like monk order or something. It was not. So once everything got bad, and then it became worse. And I snuck in and was like, oh, there's even more of them in here.
Oh yeah.
It was, I thought we were all dead and done for at that point. Because I got knocked out.
And that was when Everard's morale broke and he ran, and when Regal ran away.
There was a point where we were already doing poorly, and then 6 spore creatures showed up.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well, that's it.
It was over.
Yeah.
Once Paralu was dead, I was like, all right, it's over.
Yeah.
We gotta get out of here.
There were a couple of moments, I'd say, once CJ got inside and saw how many enemies there actually were and those spore creatures were released. Once you were in, like you said, Paralu died and you realized that this ogre was far too challenging to kill.
So we killed it.
Eventually you did, but I think it took way too many rounds. And there was that one moment where you smited, I think, early, and then couldn't smite it for the radiant damage because the ogre doesn't regenerate on the radiant damage. That would have been huge here because it kept getting up. It kept like regenerating itself every turn.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It just kept getting up because Joey smited like on his first
you used all your spells on your
first round of combat: Shield of Faith and Divine Smite.
So I have a question about this encounter.
Yeah.
Did you said it? We kind of you were thrown in there. Did you mean us to go there, or were you kind of surprised when we decided to go there?
Well, you all know, and I've talked about this on other DM prep videos I've done, and in general, my philosophy in D&D, I don't think like a free for all, like the ultimate complete sandbox is great. I actually think, unless that's really what the group wants, I've found DMing over the last 2 decades that the average gamer just kind of sometimes wants to be told what to do a little bit, but I do like that there are choices, and you will maybe not, you definitely won't do everything in a book, especially in these types of, modules. You won't do everything because of the choices you make. If you ended up following those footsteps and went here, I would have been prepared for it, like I was. If you didn't, then I would have moved on to the next thing in Kaer Konig, or perhaps another town, or maybe you'd come back here. It would have been up to you. But I also, as you know, and you might have seen on the stream, I do this quite often. At the end of a session, I clarify with you all. All right, so just curious, like, what are you going to do next session, or what's your plans for the group next? And I get a vague, just a general direction of where you're taking it. And so I was prepared, because I think at the end of the session 5, you had said you wanted to follow those footsteps. Now, let's say you came here and saw this thing, and you were like, nope, no way, we're not going into it. We're weakened. We're going back down first. Then I would have been fine. I had alternatives, but I had fully intended for you to go into here, but sneak in. Like, you saw a fortress, an outpost, a watchtower. I would have immediately thought you would have. I also even suggested it, like, all right, you're gonna give me stealth checks, right? And I think you were all like, or Joey was like, nah, just walk right in. And, it ended up happening the way it happened. But if you snuck in, it would have been more of like a traditional dungeon-y type place. You would have got to explore the rooms. If you're quiet enough, maybe hear some conversations. The ogre would not have been out of the cage yet, so you could have maybe prevented that from happening. There are a lot of things you could have done here, but we know how it ended up.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, I planned for you to come here. I just didn't expect for you to go in and basically walk into the front door. And I thought that since the Dwergar are extremely, paranoid, and they had to go on full red alert and do as best as they could against you. Now, for those of you who are wondering, well, what happened? Did they TPK? 3 of the group members went down. Flair, Everard, and Edmund. But Rogal managed to get away. And that is what Stefano was referring to earlier, how some of us are brave and some of us, run away when the going gets tough.
Hey,
but
I bravely rescued you.
that, I gotta be honest, that was one of the most fun adventures. Episode 7 was when we had the rescue at the Dwergar Outpost. So, Joey, since you were the one primarily rescuing the group, or at least, you were the character that was on the other side, why don't you explain what had happened to Rogal after he left?
And so Rogal saw, Everard take a bunch of arrows, try laying on some hands and running with him, but just kept taking arrows like a pin needle, or what are those things where you put
a pin cushion?
Pin cushion.
A pin cushion.
Pin needle.
And so I was like, all right, I gotta get out of here. And everyone was like, dude, go. It's fine. All right, peace out. But then went back to the cave where we collectively pushed down this Yeti to sort of rest for the night. And then he met Oya Minotaur, who encouraged his morale to attempt a rescue of his friends.
Yeah, so Oya Minotaur is a Goliath werebear, basically. A legendary figure in the Goliath culture here in Icewind Dale. And even the Goliath that was with that expedition, that's what they were coming for. They were coming to find Oya Minotaur, who was living, I guess, in Kelvin's Cairn. And she found you at your darkest hour and told you to follow the beast inside, right? The wild dragon, white dragon ancestry that's flowing through your blood. That's what she suggested to save the group. And she would do as much as she could to help you because she was watching the group and saw that you are good people. You were helping the same expedition that she tried to help. She thwarted the Yetis for a moment for Garrett and his crew to try to escape.
For the record, the important word there is draconic ancestry, not white ancestry.
Well, actually, no. She was very much focused on it being a white dragon because she talked about it being the hunters. They're the predator dragon. She wanted you to, harness that white dragon ancestry, and it's something that you have always been. Well, I don't know. Rogal is. Rogal is ashamed of his ancestry in some way, right?
I mean, white dragons are supposed to be like evil within the lore. I'm not trying to be political here. I swear to God.
No, I know. Story-wise, though, right? Though in the Forgotten Realms, a white dragon is evil creature, but it is like the Dragonborn are not monsters, right? They are a humanoid race. They're part of they're a player's handbook race, so you can be a white dragon ancestry. And so you have that stigma, right? That people assume that you're evil too, and that's something you try to resist or push against,
or go out of my way to show that I'm not.
Exactly. So she kind of told you to focus on that inner beast inside of you, but still maintain who you are. That you're a good natured person. So you went to the group and you snuck in under that river, the grate that was there. Meanwhile, the group wasn't entirely defenseless by themselves. How did you escape out of your cells and such?
Well, Everard was initially knocked around a bit. I guess you could say tortured. But then he was taken into kind of a waiting room, and he managed to get a natural 20 and slip out of his cord. So that's how he escaped. And Edmund had a rather cool trick as well, right?
Yeah, Edmund, how did you get out of your bindings?
Is my mic working? Okay, it is working.
Mm-hmm.
So I was being interrogated. So after Everard Everard was interrogated first, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was taken to the interrogation room, where I had a lovely conversation with the Duergar that were interrogating us, and learned a whole bunch of things about what was going on in Icewind Dale. That's where I first learned about the Zentarum being part of Icewind Dale. It's where I was shown a set of shards of crystal shards pointed at my neck, and that was how I was able to escape when I was able to kind of negotiate and deceive these dwarves into trying to figure out, like, I believe I tried to convince one of them that he was better than his station as the bucket boy.
Bucket man.
He saved us here in the end.
Yeah, I was trying to convince him that he should, he should really be the leader, and that that kind of helped distract him as I was able to get one of the shards and free myself from my bindings.
That's right. You sowed the seeds of doubt in one of the Duergar, who was, low on the totem pole there, and Nildar, the son of who you end up finding out, Zardarok. Sunblight. Yep. So Zardarok and his sons are looking for Chardolin, the crystal shards that you had seen there. Now, when you were being interrogated, you'd find out that there was some Zentarum at work here in Icewind Dale. Obviously, the Duergar are looking for these crystal shards, and that
and
there's
when the Zentarum name was mentioned, I having run a campaign recently that also featured the Zentarum, I knew about their flying snake symbol, and I mentioned that, and then that triggered me later on realizing what happened in Targos.
Yes.
With the flying snakes in Targos and in the
because the flying Speaker Nerth has flying snakes, and that eventually will come into play later again. So a little bit of metagaming knowledge there, but they did bring it up. They did tell you about the Zentarum, and so that's kind of where you learned a lot of information here. Flair, unfortunately, was unable to get out of bindings and get to
He
help
did
out.
taste a rather delicious mushroom.
Okay, so yeah, I did get a mushroom stuffed in my mouth at one point. That was going to turn me into a
spore creature.
Spore creature, which was pretty scary. But I did manage to get out of my cell using Mage Hand and stealing the keys off of the Dwergar that had me jailed.
Right.
And I started running away. I was looking for the right moment to start running.
Yeah.
And it was while the Dwergar was preparing to release, I guess, these spore creatures and not facing the direction that I was going.
Right. Well, everyone had a grand old time in the Dwergar Fortress, some of us better than others, and by the end of, by the time Joey and Rogal arrived with Oyuminurtok, there was some opportunities. So both Edmund and Everard got out of their bindings, waiting for the right moment to strike, and that's when it happened. Oyuminurtok made a distraction. Rogal snuck up under the grate, although Rogal had to get past the goats, whose cage were placed right on top of the grate to block it off. It was rather, unfortunate that you stared at the ass end of a goat.
Listen, we gotta pick and choose our battles. We gotta save my friends.
Yep.
Didn't I smack like a goat on the butt to try to charge one of the Dwergar?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yep. And it was so close to being another TPK. I gotta be honest with you. It was so close. But at the end, I believe it was it Flair or Edmund? I forget. Somebody convinced that Dwergar, who was, I guess had that seeds of doubt in his mind, to let you go so that perhaps he could assume a position of authority. And
I believe Edmund convinced him to shoot the leader with his crossbow.
Yep.
And that allowed us the time to escape, as they kind of had a moment of mutiny or whatever.
Yeah. And it worked. You got out of there, and but as we said, there was a casualty before you even finished the combat. That's when Everard took that javelin to the throat and failed his death save and died. And Joey learned that you cannot use lay on hands on someone who has 3 failed saving throws. That was the first time you ever learned that.
So, and I would like to say one thing for Everard. He was actually I thought he was in a great position. He was in kind of a arrow slit room. But of course, everything was dark. So I had this moment where it's like, I'm in this great position. I've locked the door. No one can get in. I can fire and help my friends. And then kind of Bob said, well, you can't see anything. It's dark. And I was like, ah. So I was like, should I just stay here and be safe, or should I come out? So I thought, no, Everard would come and help his friends. So he ran out and almost instantaneously took a javelin to the throat, got a 1 and died. And I thought, well, that's what helping your friends gets you.
Yeah. I'm going to say something. I'll say it now, but I'm also going to repeat it when we get to Stefano, Flair's death. That's the beauty of D&D, right? It's not a scripted thing. Bad rolls happen, unfortunate events happen, decisions get made, and there are consequences, and it's great that it's this free-form thing that nobody knows ultimately what's going to happen. And that was the first moment here where I think it really sunk into the group that this is a challenging campaign, and we're running it as, trying to be a little bit realistic with it, and you could die. So I thought it set a nice tone for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, I don't find, personally, I've played a few D&Ds, and I think it's much more fun if you have the knowledge that you can die. If you think the punches are being pulled too much and there's no chance of death, I think it takes a lot of the tension out of it.
You're just rolling blocks.
Right. What are we doing here? Just pushing, tokens around on a board, and you're always ultimately going to succeed. Then what's the point? Right. I feel the same way. Yeah. All right. So that kind of, I feel like, is the first act of our campaigns at that point. That's when things started to change, and we got a new character introduced. So after you returned to Kaer Konig and you brought back all the lost items, or at least the ones that you could find, you mourned Everard's death. You met a new ally. In fact, you met two new allies when you got back to Kaer Konig. You met Andrew's new character. Who, Andrew, tell us about Elias Dawnstrider.
So I have a mini here as well.
Oh yeah.
This is Elias Dawnstrider, chosen of Lathander, human cleric. He's about 42 years old. He has quite a complicated backstory, but he had been in Icewind Dale for some time.
We actually shouldn't get into your backstory a little bit because too much, because there's
it's going to come
spoilers.
out later on.
Yeah. A lot of your backstories also tie into your character secret, which we do have a secrets video on that, so you can go look at that. But we shouldn't talk about your backstories too much here, because I don't want to give things away to the other players. So Elias is a cleric of Lathander. You came to the 10 Towns, hoping to perhaps end the winter, and that is who you met when you got back to Kaer Konig. In fact, Trovis, the speaker, introduced you all and said that you're going to need to help. These are the people that could help you. You also met a wizard named Zan. Zan was at the start, sneaking and creeping up on your conversation. He overheard what you were talking about. I think Edmund even noticed him around the corner, sneaking around the corner. But he had a conversation. He told you that he was part of the Arcane Brotherhood, and that he has an interest in whatever you were talking about, going to end the winter. So once you were back from your trip to this cabin up north, come see him in East Haven. He would love to take a look at whatever you were talking about and help you in any way. And I think, CJ, you liked Zan very much.
I liked Zan. He was an interesting character. He was very flamboyant. He was well dressed. He spoke eloquently. He seemed to know what was going on. He seemed smart.
He had a very similar personality to Edmund.
Yeah, he was a true hero, and here to help Icewind Dale.
Blair was certain that his name was Dan.
Yeah,
I thought his name was Zan.
Well, it's pronounced.
So between us,
I believe it's pronounced Zan, but it was Dzaan. So
turns out I shouldn't have trusted him as much as I thought as I did. But,
yeah. Well, maybe. I mean, Zan, he kind of redeemed himself, I thought. No,
he didn't. He got himself burned alive for killing people.
Well, let's one step at a time here. So you headed up north because Andrew's character Elias was got some information from a gnome back in Bryn Shander who he was staying with, that there was a man named Macretus. He went to work on a special device that was going to end the winter, and it was in this cabin called the Black Cabin, which was north of Lonely Wood. And you traveled with Elias because this intrigued you, and gaining perhaps fame for doing it would have been Flair's motivation. Helping elves and man would have been Edmund's, and Rogal doing the right thing would have been Rogal's motivation. So you all went with Elias, and you headed to the Black Cabin.
Plus, Elias cured Flair
of the spore poison.
And
That's
bought
true.
everyone a whole bunch of stuff that they lost.
yeah.
Bought Flair a bunch of stuff.
Right. And spent up virtually all his money on buying Flair stuff.
Yes, he did. And
money well spent.
Well, yikes. Well, then you went to. You decided to stop at one of the northern towns before going to the cabin. You went to Tourmaline. You chose Tourmaline over Lonely Wood. Not that it mattered. They were very close to each other and the cabin, but you stopped over at Tourmaline, and you realized Tourmaline was having some issues. The speaker, Horace Masthew, a half-orc speaker of the town, banned work in the mine, the Tourmaline mine, which they're known for. And you were able to find out that there was a group of kobolds that had taken it over, and the speaker hired you to clear it out. you went into the mine and found quite a few things. A grell, which Joey very vigorously destroyed, and then a bunch of kobolds that didn't really want to fight. In fact, what was up with those kobolds?
They were disgusting.
Well, yeah, CJ wanted to kill them because he's big.
No,
But
Edmund wanted to.
Yeah, Edmund wanted to kill the kobolds, that's for sure.
And they were just chilling. They were following this one dude who, got some popsicle sticks and some glue, made some wings, and then they just followed this guy around. I was like, all right.
Yes,
You guys
Trex.
chill.
Yes, Trex, who was a kobold, but also, like you said, was perhaps something else. There was something going on with him. He was just unique, different than the kobolds that you had encountered prior. But rather than destroying all the kobolds, killing them all,
We
Trex,
should have.
well, you may should have. Trex negotiated with the group and just wanted to be able to go into town and live, in a peaceful, symbiotic way with the 10 towners. And so you brought the kobolds back. I think there was maybe a dozen of them or so. And you brought them to the town where they were able to jump in and start working with the 10 towners in some sort of a peaceful manner. Now, who knows what's going on there now because you've left and it's been quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
But
They're all dead.
All the
Yeah.
10 towners are dead,
All of the 10 towners are dead.
and the kobolds
that-
are feasting upon them.
That white dragon showed up, convinced all the kobolds to follow him, and killed everyone in Tourmaline.
well, that could be the case, but you'll never know until you go back to
We should
Tourmaline.
We should really go and check out Tourmaline at some point. I would be
Yeah.
interested to see what happened with that.
Yeah.
I am.
Now-
Well, yeah, Elias is.
I kind of wish we killed Trex.
That guy had moss in his. He had moss in his pouch.
Oh,
What
we
was the
also
moss?
there's also a purple
Yeah.
crystal in the mine that we have
Oh.
not checked out.
Who's got that
Yeah.
crystal?
He had a component pouch, so he's some sort of magic
Yep.
user.
Yeah.
That was what I assume about Trex.
Yeah.
Edmund
Stefano,
has the crystal.
Edmund
you're
has
right,
the
though. There was a crystal that you found in a skull. There was a skull that was literally built into the cave wall there
Right.
that you were able to break and free the gemstone from.
But the skull had a warped. It looked warped, right?
Oh,
It wasn't a
totally.
regular. Yeah, which
It wasn't
is why.
a human. Yeah, it wasn't a human skull. So you don't know what it was, but you found a gem in there, and Edmund is holding on to it right now.
Yeah.
So once you left Tourmaline, you went to the Black Cabin, and boy, did we have a fun episode there. I suggest you, even if you are catching up now, you go and watch that one. That was a wild one. The gist of it, because I don't want to talk too much about the lead up to it, but you were looking for Macretus. You wanted to help him or figure out what device he was working on to end the winter. But when you walked in, you found a terrible sight. It was a body that was just blown away, charred bones and flesh, and this weird sort of rock with two metal rings around it, kind of like a gyroscope type of object. And when you came in, most of you were hesitant to go near him or this item, but you did some thorough searching around. I think at one point you found that there was a floorboards that were weak and you could have fallen through. Luckily, a gust of wind pushed you back, so you didn't step onto it. And then Elias picked up the object we're gonna call the Summer Star. That's what it was called. So you picked up the Summer Star, and I believe Joey Rogal was next to you when this happened. Meanwhile,
Yes.
Flair and Edmund were on the other side of the room, and at that moment, it started to glow, and both of you looked at each other like, "What do we do with it?" There was some time in between, and it ultimately blew up, killing both of you.
It was
what
the scariest moment of the campaign for me. It was
What
just,
was
like,
running? Yes, it was
Yeah.
scary. The reactions were pure. It was great.
I was so mad.
I was like, I'm going to have to write another character out. I only just wrote a
I
character.
know.
Oh my god.
So what was going through your mind when that summer star blew up?
I was like, fuck you, Bobby. I can't believe you just killed me like that. Like what
90
the hell? I'm
radiant
starting
damage.
to question if you're a good DM. Just gamer rage. I wanted to quit.
I was
90 radiant.
I was initially completely sure that I was actually dead. Because it was so extreme. You might think, well, I might get back from this, but I was certain that, oh no, messed up again, Andrew.
That's
Gotta think of another character.
So it was at that point where I told all of you to, I told CJ and Stefano to mute their headphones for a moment. I wanted to just discuss what we're going to do with the other two characters, how they're going to perhaps make new characters, but I didn't want them to hear anything. And I think even at start, CJ, you had some doubts as to whether they were truly dead or not. But then I told them to make characters while the rest of the group explored the cabin. But in reality, what I told him was that they are no longer they are dead. They are 100% dead, but they are ghosts trapped in this cabin, bound to it, cannot go out of it for any way. But you also found Macretus's ghost, and Macretus was there, and he was grumpy and angry. He told you to how to fix the Summer Star. We won't get into the specifics of how to fix it, but I told you which metals to use, how many rings, and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Edmund and Flair were searching around for their own way to fix it or figure out what happened, and you started to leave clues. What were some of the ways that you tried to alert them that you were not dead necessarily, or at least how to fix the Summer Star?
Well, it took us a while to work out we could write stuff in the snow, right?
Yeah.
Once we figured that out, it got a lot easier. To start with, we were like banging tables and blowing winds and waving things in front of other things in kind of a confusing and unhelpful way. And then we kind of figured out we could write stuff in the snow with our power. Got a bit easier.
Yeah, so once you were able to figure out how to communicate, the rest of the group figured out which metals to use, which rings, and all that stuff. And they went through the process. You guys did your own investigating. What was going through your minds as we were taking breaks? And I kept saying, I'm going to check in on the other character. What were you thinking?
So, I mean, CJ can tell you that he was pretty sure that they weren't dead. I didn't figure it out. So right. I was like, what's going on? Is it like the souls of like their new characters? What's going on here? So that's what I thought was going on, because I was fooled. I thought they were actually making new characters, and the reason that it was so urgent that they made new characters was because we were going to meet them after we fixed the Summer Star.
That's actually kind of smart. Yeah. It's kind of like that logic like turns out.
Checks out.
That checks out.
So I was fooled.
CJ?
I mean, Edmund was pretty convinced that like something was happening around, because Edmund had done a bunch of things in the cabin that were like, would have definitely ended him, but like he was like either pushed by some wind or like something kind of stopped him a few times before the Summer Star blew up. So he was kind of like on this idea that something weird is happening in this cabin right now beyond just the normal weird of everyday life. So when they disappeared, but the Summer Star remained, it was really just about trying to figure out like, how do we get them back? And like clearly, like he was like, we have to somehow reverse what the Summer Star did. It sent them into like another dimension. It sent them into like the ethereal plane, but they can still somehow manipulate the material plane from there. Like I didn't think they were dead. I thought like, again, this is all like when you play enough Dungeons and Dragons, you know, like weird Dungeons and Dragons things. Like, so I'm like, okay, they're in the ethereal plane, but they can still manipulate the material plane, or they're like doing something like they're not dead. We have to pull them from the Shadowfell. We have to get them out of Mechanus or whatever it was that they got thrown to,
The upside
by
down world.
reversing. Yeah, like they're in the up. They're we've got to rejigger the Rubik's cube so that all of the faces are now orange or whatever, and that would like bring them back.
You weren't wrong. They were on the ethereal plane, and they could manipulate the material plane. They just were dead. So,
yeah. So like I didn't think that they were dead. I thought they were alive there.
Yeah.
So
Now
we just needed to bring them back.
Right. Now, eventually, you do get the Summer Star working, and that's great. It actually does control the weather. So you parted the skies, the clouds parted, and the sun came to the 10 towns for about a minute for the first time in over 2 years. So as that was occurring, as the sun was coming out and clouds were going away and darkness was going away, Rogal and Elias in the ethereal plane were greeted by literally Lathander, the god of the dawn, whatever, god of the dawn,
the Lord of Light.
Lord of Light. So this is a big moment, not only for Elias to see his god, which is very like surreal.
Like,
I don't even know if you should be like allowed to be a player anymore. You'd be just like insanity probably, but. Rogal also becomes a believer himself, which he really was not a believer in any god per se.
Not beforehand, no.
Right, which is odd because you were a paladin, but you kind of based it on more of like your inner strength, like your inner compass. It was kind of like that was your god. You were devoted to doing the right thing.
My conscience.
Yeah, really, yeah. So. The whole group was blessed by Lathander. You now have a bless every day. You can roll a d4 to add it to a skill, ability, or attack. You can just use it. It's like having a d4 in your pocket, basically.
And the legend of Solar Flare began.
That's right. Yes.
The man who ended the endless winter.
Because it was you who used the Summer Star. You were the one using it.
But in actuality, I followed clues that were given to me by Elias and Rogal, and I read blueprints telling Edmund how to fix the Summer Star, because I didn't even do the check to fix the Summer Star. I just understood the blueprints. So
yeah, you were the brains.
But I touched it, and I said it, so clearly... Flare.
Edmund was very confused that day. As much as I understood what was going on, Edmund rolled very poorly and had no idea what was going on.
Yep.
I know. I remember. You were like, okay, let's leave.
There was a moment when...
We almost to go find copper. We were talking about that.
There was a moment when CJ said, all right, well, I guess they're dead. We should bring this piece of metal back to Bryn Shander. And Joey's eyes on the camera, he was like... what?
It was a little frustrating, actually. I wanted to just scream out what to do. Just do this. But you couldn't.
It was a great session, and Lathander blessed all of you, but also revived Elias and Rogal. So you were brought back, your bodies reanimated, and there you go. You were back in the flesh. And I think at that point, we realized that the goal was to end the eternal winter, because something is wrong here, and you were close to it, but you had to figure that out. And then we bring in the Arcane Brotherhood. So after traveling back down to...
just for a moment, I would like to say that is episode 10 for those of you who haven't seen it yet. It is episode 10 if you're going to go back and try and rewatch it.
Yeah, and for
it's
DMs too,
so
it's
good.
really great because
it is a great one, and you should all watch it.
Thank you,
and
good plug there. Also for DMs who are running this game and you've been anticipating, because when I first read that, even before the campaign started, I was like, this is going to be in the campaign for sure. It's so cool, and so I definitely would watch it, get some inspiration, see how I did it, see if you can change it, tailor it to your game. So. Once you headed back to Kaer Konig, I think you stopped off at Targos very briefly. We kind of did a montage where you got a couple of things wrapped up, but then you were headed to East Haven because you were going to show Zan the Summer Star. So maybe he would know how to fix it or repair it or do something, because after it went off, it stopped working, and the Summer the sun went away and darkness came again. Oh, and you were also threatened by what you believe the Frostmaiden Oriel herself. Her words whispering in the wind to all of you that she will be watching you as she sent some cold light walkers towards you. So you headed down to East Haven, and you were going to see Zan, but there was a fire burning, a pyre in the middle of town, and that was Zan. He was being burned to a crisp. So you didn't know what to do. You didn't have any guidance when we had our lovely guest for a few sessions, Dasha, playing Velen Harpel, another Arcane Brotherhood wizard who told you that she was working with Zan, and perhaps she can help you with your Summer Star. However, Zan has been working on finding a place that she believes will have lots of great artifacts and things that could help, similar to the Summer Star, to ending the winter. And that's what led us to the Lost Spire of Nethril. Now, just to speed this up a bit, you did travel there, and you met Arveachuris, the White Dragon, which was pretty cool. You also met some ragged nomads who were out in the wilderness there. I definitely would check out, the Rime of the Frostmaiden for those encounters that are in the wilderness section. It's chapter 2, so you should take a look at that if you're a DM, because there's a lot of ways to implement them. I like the way we did it. You kind of met them while you were going out into the tundra. And who knows, maybe they will be important later in the game. I don't know. But you did have a quick interaction with those two, the Arveachuris and the Ragged Nomads, and then you got to the Lost Spire. Now, what was interesting about the Lost Spire is that it was like a tower, upside down, but buried under snow. It looks like Zan had been working, getting 10-towners to go out there and excavate it. And many of them were either dying or not returning or whatnot, but that's why he was burned at the stake. Now, as you were exploring this upside-down tower, you realized that someone was lying to you. What were your thoughts as you were traveling with Velen into this tower?
Everything about it was suspicious.
It
Velen
was.
showing up. We eventually encounter a new Zan, a simulacrum of him. The first Zan that we met told us to be wary of the Arcane Brotherhood, and then Velen is like, I'm from the Arcane Brotherhood, and I know Zan, and so it became very unclear who was the one to trust.
I became very wary when we reached the spire, and Velen seemed like wide-eyed, super interested, super excited when we arrived there. Like it was something that she had heard of or known about. And I was like, are we being led here for her nefarious purposes?
Yeah. I thought there was going to be more to it than there was, you see. I thought this was going to be there was going to be a big end to it, but I mean, you're going to get to the end. I was kind of surprised.
There was a big end to it for me.
Oh my God. Grim.
Well, that's good that you brought that up, Andrew. Yeah, so the Lost Spire it seemed like it was maybe perhaps
significant.
Yeah, like the stepping stone to the next part of this
Right.
adventure, and it was one tower that you found and was revealed to you throughout your exploration of the tower of a ancient city called Yithrin, and this city was a flying city. You don't know much about it because none of your characters had any of this really in their history checks, but it was a flying city that crashed somewhere here in Icewind Dale, and that tower just fell from it. So you happen to stumble upon a small piece of a bigger picture. Maybe something that will be coming in the future. But Velen and Zan, you didn't know who to trust. Ultimately, they both kind of seemed like they were just looking for this city, and this was the way to get somebody to help them find it. Velen ultimately comes clean, or at least to your knowledge, comes clean. Tells you about Yithrin, tells you about the Arcane Brotherhood and why they're here. She also helped you to what would the word be? To bring the simulacrum, which is a illusion spell of Zan, back to life. Now, Stefano, I'm going to let you describe what happened in this chamber that was designed to bring illusions to life.
All right, so there were like runes all around the room, and there was it was like a pedestal in the center. Was it
on the ceiling? But yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Because it was upside down. Remember?
Yeah.
He's like,
so
yeah.
First I made a minor illusion of a crepe because I really wanted to eat a delicious crepe.
And that crepe almost killed you.
Well, yeah, it could have. Who knows? Because I decided not to go with it. But we did eventually put the simulacrum in the device, and I forgot. Was it me who you have to like allow it to happen with the light? It was you,
Elias.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a rebirth and awakening.
And then it turned into a horrible black pudding that who knew how dangerous this thing could possibly be, because I was subsequently crit by the black pudding, and it did 54 damage to me. I know this exact number because I have a maximum hit points of 24, and I also had 6 temporary hit points, so I was actually 6 hit points above my maximum, but it got rid of all 30 and took me to minus 24, exactly the negative of my maximum hit points, to instantly kill me.
Yep.
From 6 points above my max to death.
Stone cold dead.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
So that was the end of Solar Flare.
Yep.
Who
Well,
was
you know
really
what they say
trying
when you fly too close to the sun,
your
sometimes
wings.
you get burned.
Right.
Well,
Something about
Your
the
Icarus
wings,
moment.
the wax wings. Is that what they say? Wax wings will dissipate and you will fall. That's what they say, right?
yeah, the Greek
The
myth
Legend of Icarus, I think.
Icarus, yeah.
When you do a thing, then something bad happens. That's
That's
the
it.
saying, right?
Yeah.
Don't
Ancient
do
proverb.
anything. Stay at home.
Yeah, right. That's basically the moral of the story.
Oh, when you saunter, you lose the ranger.
It's true. Well,
I
so
do want to say, what was up with the kobolds that Velen had?
oh, that's right. Velen has kobold companions. I think
which
she
Also
had,
disgusting.
I think she had like 4
Are
of
you
them or
saying
something.
this as CJ or as like a representative of Edmund Rising?
A little bit of both.
Nothing wrong with kobolds.
There's a lot of things wrong with kobolds.
They're dragon people.
As Stefano, kobolds are fictional creatures.
Well, you know.
There was something else I wanted to.
Wait, why were some of them dead?
So, well, CJ,
Oh.
did you have something else to say? I'll explain Velen in a moment.
Yeah, apparently Zan was also a Red Wizard of Thay, so no big loss there.
Oh, right. So Zan's simulacrum, who was the only chance of Zan coming back to life, was turned into black pudding. Velen, the other arcane brother wizard, helped you to fight against these black puddings, but these oozes were able to kind of just do a number on you all, and I think your plan was to run away once you realized how much damage they actually did in their attacks.
We
Flare,
were like, we can take this on, whatever. We took on like what, a basilisk before?
Right.
It was like one shot that stuff,
Right.
and then it just sneezes on Flare, instantly killing him, and we're like, we gotta go.
I'd like to go now. And Elias was kind of thinking this place seemed kind of like a red herring. There was nothing here but some black pudding generating machine that dissolved Flare. It was like, why have we come to this place?
We did it, guys.
What are we doing here?
yeah.
Well, we did find out about Yithrin. I guess that was the purpose.
That was the purpose.
You did find out about Yithrin.
I remember you gave me kind of an epilogue to Flare, and Flare said he only had one regret. I wonder if any of the party members remember what that regret was.
I know.
Because it seems that they had completely forgotten. And it was something that Flair would have never forgotten about.
It was giving me the gold.
It had to do with gold. It sure did.
Giving it gold to Rogal.
No, that was not. No, that was not his. That was not his regret.
Wow.
What was it? I didn't have more gold.
You know what? I got to be honest with you, Stefano.
We can't say it.
Don't tell them.
I'm not going to. We discussed this already.
Yeah. We actually talked about it, that we thought you had forgotten, and we will not remind you if you don't remember. So,
wait.
Anyway,
what?
Don't. We
Wait,
talked about it
legit?
weeks ago. We talked about it weeks ago in private, and we said if you forget, you forget. So we're just gonna move on. I apologize to those of you who are wondering what it is.
No, wait, hold on. The three of us can put our hands
If you're a
together.
true Tabletop Bob Icewind Dale fan, then post it down in the comments below
Wait.
if you remember
I am a
Flair's
true
dying
Bob,
wish.
yeah.
All right. So anyway, so let's go to Velen for a moment, because that's where this is kind of the end of the second part of this second act of the story so far. So Velen is a Arcane Brotherhood member. She is looking for this lost city of Yithrin. She explained to you that it's hidden, lost. There's no way to find it without a couple of specific things, and one of them is a professor orb that she has that was stolen by someone named Nas Lantamir, another Arcane Brotherhood member. The last time that she saw Nas, Nas had stolen the Professor Orb and was planning to leave them, and that's how she killed two of her kobold companions. That's why two of them are raised and undead. So Velen brought them back to life. Does that answer your question, Joey?
That's cool. Like, she
Yeah.
felt bad.
She did
Did
feel
we-
bad for them, yes. Mm-hmm.
Wait, so
Did we
why?
ever show?
I never found out about the kobolds, though. I'm pissed about them.
You did.
Finish their
No,
kobold.
you did. Velen told you about what her kobolds and what happened to them.
Oh, no. But, no, I mean, she didn't tell us about how she met the kobolds. Just
She
that
did not.
they were...
No.
Like, why are we traveling around with kobolds?
Who cares?
What's with the
They're
kobolds?
They're kobolds, yeah, they're kind of psychics. And I wouldn't
They're
say she
kobolds.
felt bad for them. I mean, if you died, I might feel bad, but I wouldn't be tempted to reanimate your corpse to serve me.
We can
So-
go back and find Everard and
Well, he
And
was
we already killed.
we already killed him again.
killed the reanimated Everard.
right. He was one of the people at the Black Cabin who came
I
together.
forgot about that.
Bitch.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
That was disturbing.
That was
That was
mean.
so
You know what?
sad.
That was mean, Bob.
Well, it is what it
Um,
is.
Did we
Um,
ever show Velen the Summer Star? That makes me wonder. Anyway,
You did.
We
Mhm.
talked.
We did.
Yeah, I started talking about it. I brought it out. This is when we were all pointing knives at each other.
Oh, okay.
So, that was kind of like the end of another act
That was
of
the end of our guest
campaign.
star series.
Yep, and Dasha, yes, we had, I think, 3 or so sessions, or 4
I
maybe
think it
even.
was more.
Might have been 4,
Yeah.
3.5 or 4, where Dasha joined us to play the role of Velen. Who knows? Maybe Velen will be back at some point. Then,
Yeah, I just
And-
thought it was
and-
really cool that we brought on, like, oh, here's just, like, this new person. It's going to be
yeah,
a part of
and
your...
to be honest, I don't think this is a spoiler or anything, but if you, all of you have played in a campaign that I've run before in the past, I actually enjoy bringing in guest stars to play important NPCs. I've done it in when CJ played in my Curse of Strahd campaign, when Stefano played in Tomb of Annihilation, same with Andrew when you were in that game. So you know that I love to bring in guest stars and people to play NPCs, because it shakes things up, and it's fun for me to have to then try to plan someone that I would have total control over, and then have them be run by somebody else.
Yeah.
Anyway, so moving on, the story progresses with you all going back to East Haven. Now, here's where things get a little strange here. So you meet a new character named
Imdra?
Imdra?
nope,
Oh,
Stefano, your character.
Oh,
Julius.
fine.
Oh,
we meet a new character. But no,
Yes,
well, we
okay.
go-
no. You mean the seance guy,
the
right?
seance guy. We meet a
Yeah.
guy who wants to run a seance, and during that seance, there is another person there
We met Garrett?
No, don't confuse people, Joey. You met Ronaldo, the halfling seance soothsayer
Ronaldo, yeah.
bard. Yes, you're right, CJ. Ronaldo was having a seance at the White Lady Inn in East Haven, where you were staying. You actually had a moment where you took a week off of adventuring after Flair's death. You had a funeral service. You got all the 10 towners in East Haven to kind of, get introduced to you, meet you, and you mingled, and you kind of made a second home here in East Haven. You met the captain of the guard, Imdra Arlgath, who was a half-elf captain, watch captain. She, got to know you because of your downtime there in the city. Now, when you went to Ronaldo's seance, because he was going to commune with the White Lady and ask questions, that's when all hell broke loose. The White Lady appeared. You were all convinced that it was something trickery he was doing, but no, the real White Lady was there and was angered by the questions being asked, so she lashed out and started to attack the 10 towners there. You sprung into action and you met Julius. Stefano, tell us about Julius.
Well, Julius Valerian is the young elven blade-singing wizard, and he is here in Icewind Dale to kind of build his legend. Julius is very interested in being a hero, doing the right thing, and he knows about this endless winter. So he is here to solve it, and that's all the information I'm kind of going to give you.
I was going to say, and nothing more.
We also kind of may have glossed over a character moment that happened during our week of downtime in
It's true.
In East Haven. I'm not sure if we would need to go over it right now, but maybe we can do it.
It's something that is not going to last very much longer, because there's going to be a changing of the guard probably pretty soon.
Well, I don't know what that means, but I'll briefly say that Rogal has always been the outsider to the group, but now that both Everard and Flair have died, this moment's kind of brought, for a brief moment, brought Edmund and Rogal closer, and while
and then further apart.
Well,
very quickly afterwards.
For the moment,
we'll get to that.
For the moment, Rogal and Edmund had, put aside differences and realized that they're probably the closest things to friends that they have. And for the longest time, it was always the Three Musketeers. Rogal was the outsider.
Three Musketeers and Rogal.
The Three Musketeers and Rogal. It was Flair, Everard, and Edmund. And then immediately Elias surpassed Rogal and joined into the Three Musketeers, seemingly right away. And then finally, Rogal was asked to be part of the Three Musketeers, and he
It only took 2 of them dying.
Yeah. So then they met Julius, and I bet Edmund wished he had offered it to Julius instead, because you were tasked by the captain of the watch, Imdra Arlgath, to do something good for the town, because the town had just agreed with 2 of the other 10 towns, Targos, and who had already been doing it, and Bryn Shander, to go to humanoid sacrifices to kind of appease Oriel and hope the winter would be more kind to them and maybe end the winter. So they had just moved to humanoid sacrifices in East Haven, and the first lottery was going to be tomorrow. So she wanted you to do something good, go and find out what happened to 4 fishermen who went out, 3 fishermen and 1 young girl who went out onto the lake when they weren't supposed to. What happened to them? If you can go find them, get some information, that would be great. It took you to the Cauldron Caves, where you not only found where the fishermen met their end, but the young girl was a sea hag by the name of Maud Chiselbone. She had a very unique cauldron that she was cooking them in, but once you cleaned that cauldron thoroughly and brought it back to East Haven,
which we did,
which you did,
we
along with some
cleaned
other
thoroughly, kind of.
Yes, a
Mostly.
good once over. You brought it back, and you realized I think Julius cast Identify on it. You were able to know that it could provide food by simply putting water in it. So you were able to start your kind of a soup kitchen to give back to East Haven. This would be the good news they wanted. However, in more recent episodes, when you brought it back, you realized something was afoot in East Haven. This is where the Zentarum come back into play. You thought that Prudence, the town clerk, the assistant to the speaker, Daneth Whalen, was a part of the Zentarum. She was a spy because she had a flying snake pet. So just to kind of recap last 2 episodes, the Town Hall Capers, and then we'll get your opinions of it all. You set up an elaborate plan. Daneth agreed to pay you for the cauldron. He's going to leave town to get the gemstones for you. Meanwhile, Imdra and the group devised a plan to catch Prudence in her act, stealing the cauldron, which would be something the Zentarum would definitely be after. And meanwhile, Joey with Rogal was headed out to save the boy who was picked in the lottery, who was going to die. Ultimately, it all comes together where you set up this plot to catch Prudence. Joey returns with the boy. You all wait to see what's going to happen. But another moment where all hell breaks loose. The Zentarum come to steal the cauldron. The Dwergar come to steal the Chardalin statue that's located in East Haven of the Balar Irtu, who is from the Crystal Shard books, made full of Chardalin. And Sefik came to kill the boy that Joey saved because he cheated the Frostmaiden. Discuss.
Oh, man. Oh, hey, Joey.
Well, I was absolutely in the right. Save that kid. I don't care what it brought upon the town. Town was doing some messed up stuff.
Wait until we find out what you did by saving all those kobolds, Joey.
I'm not sure if I trust that kid.
Who we aptly named Lucky, and
Luke.
then they shortened it to Luke because if everybody knows him as Lucky, he's got to go by an alias here. Now, Joey, you put him up in goggles and a face mask and the hood, so nobody could see who he is because he's supposed to be dead.
Yeah, he's supposed to be dead, so we're trying to keep him secret. But then he's like, "Oh, I might leave." I'm like, "All right, you do you." And then he comes with us to the town hall because I imagine he just has nowhere else to go, and he's probably freaking out because the entire town would murder him if they knew he was still alive.
Probably.
So he's like, "Just want to say thank you." And then he got caught in the storm with us.
And he's still alive. And it was incredibly interesting to me that Sefik came to kill him. And how did Sefik know about all that? And that suggests a central part for Sefik.
Well, Sefik also killed... The first murder that we learned about was because the guy was cheating the lottery, right? So Sefik clearly has some knowledge of these humanoid sacrifices and how they're meant to go down. And I guess they're not getting the people that they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Sefik goes up to get them.
He's almost an agent of
O'Reilly.
Frostmaiden.
Yeah. He said so. I think he said so.
Yeah. So he's an extremely dodgy guy.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting that the Zentarum and the Dwergar were both there on two completely different reasons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Elias didn't enjoy being stabbed by Prudence, he has to say.
That's right. Prudence
No one ever
revealed
does.
herself. Yeah.
It didn't feel good. He didn't trust her anyway. He wouldn't pick any of her stuff up that she kept dropping.
That's right. She was a klutz. I portrayed her as a klutz. So
Yeah,
that
I
she
think
would
that was
seem less...
so deliberate. I was kind of disgusted. Elias was kind of disgusted when the rest of you kept picking stuff up for us. Like, what do you... Come on.
We know you're the bad guy. Just don't make us pick up your
So,
stuff.
why don't we start with some... So that brings everybody up to speed. That is where we're at right now. They have just had this big, huge brawl with basically a free-for-all. 4 factions fighting, basically. Sefik, who was there for Luke, the new boy that Joey had rescued. We had the Dwergar with the searching for the Chardalin. We had the Zentarum to steal the cauldron, and the group there as well. So 4 factions fighting in this big battle royale, basically, and you came out on top. Sefik ended up getting away, Prudence ended up getting captured, and one of the Duergar leaders, who you presume is another son of Zardarok, was killed. Now, any questions about that last episode? Anything you want me to clarify or something before we go on to general broad questions?
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
I will say one thing though. That's not how it's played out in the book. I don't normally tell you all like what comes from the book or whatnot, but this was one thing that I love doing. Is I love finding ways to weave the storylines to come together. I also tend to do that in a campaign like this. I don't know if you remember in our Tomb of Annihilation game, Elias and Andrew and Stefano, when we played the right before you went into, I think it was when there was the tomb of all the trickster gods. Remember there was like shrines to all the trickster gods everywhere.
It was the
I
last
brought back
one.
before you went into the tomb, I brought everybody that you had met back into this huge moment where you all it was like gargoyles, the Aarakocra all flying above fighting, you and Breakbone, the
Breakbone.
Breakbone
died. He's my all-time favorite D&D character.
He's the best. Great. He was just naked. He was like wearing a loincloth.
Yeah. It's like a long-running NPC in the campaign.
Yeah.
Just a level 3 warrior, but he was cool. So cool.
Yeah. I tend to try to bring things together because it's like cool little mini boss battles, something like that. So I like to do that. And this is one of those moments where the book set it up so well, but kind of didn't do that in its own if you went like as the book exactly. So I just wanted to put it all together and have a big battle there. And it worked out really great. I thought it was a fun episode, and you all did fantastic with the role playing and the combat, and it was really well done all around. So anyway, so real quick, because I do want to get to a couple of questions. We're going to try to end very soon. So there were a couple of questions that we had kind of thrown around as a group to ask each other. I'm going to go and pick some of these and try to ask a couple of them. Yes. Oh, I see Dasha is in the chat and she said something here. I don't know. Velen had six kobolds, I think she was referring to. So Joey, your answer is 6 kobolds in total. So a couple of questions. Nice. One of these actually came from Instagram. What are your character's proudest and most regrettable moments? If you want to only share one or share 2, tell us what your most proud and most regrettable moments were. Let's start with someone who has a lot of the regrettable moments. Rogal.
My regrettable moment was meeting everyone. Everyone except Elias. No. Okay. My most regrettable moment is definitely kind of running away. But I don't know. I had to. It was weird. But I was doing it out of sheer survival, not out of I'm tactically gonna come back. It was everyone's dead. So I don't know. I think if I'm gonna pick a most regrettable moment for Rogal, it's that.
Was there a proud moment?
Proud moment? He came back. He was against all odds. He's screw this, I'm going in anyway.
You kind of John McClaned it. You just went all diehard, crawling through the crawl space to get into the outpost. You had weird things to figure out and get in and kill some of the Duergar. You had to do your best, and you did it. So it was good. CJ?
I think one of my proudest moments has been working on getting the legend of Fladrian and his funeral and all of that moment after he died, and really doing something for this character, because I think it was he really meant a lot to Edmund, and really giving everyone in East Haven, the knowledge of what Fladrine had been through and done for everyone in all of the 10 towns, I think, was a big moment for him, and he's very proud of that.
Nice RP moment. Yeah, I
and,
agree.
And that moment. I don't really regret anything. I mean, no, I regret not killing the kobolds.
Which kobolds?
All of them.
Good job, Stefano.
All right. Well, my proudest moment, obviously, was ending the endless winter.
Yeah, that was big.
That was a very clear and very proud moment for my man Flair, who I miss very much. And honestly, my most regrettable moment happened just in this most recent episode.
Really?
Because, well, my most regrettable moment is you critting me, but that's your most regrettable moment, right?
That's my proudest.
So, I was certain that because the Dwergar were breaking chunks off of that Chardolin, and they were picking them up with seemingly no ill effects. And the one that CJ had, he was touching it, and it seemingly had no ill effects. So I was certain that I'd be able to pick that one up with no problem. And that was not the case.
No, you and I have a trait that you distrust the 10-towners that are in a secret cult that's out to for the Frostmaiden or something like that. They're out to get you. Yeah. So yeah, you now have a personality flaw there. You're paranoid, and it seemed like it was harmless, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I was certain that it was harmless at that point, but I was wrong. And I will tell you, it's not going to be easy having this flaw, and I am going to do my best to play it to the way that it's meant to.
Good. Andrew, any regrettable moments?
Well, the proudest moment was when Everard was at the end, when he was in the Dwergar fortress trying to break free, and he was in kind of the safe zone, and he went out. And I remember Bob saying, "So it's my turn, what am I going to do?" And I remember really agonizing about what to do for agonizing for too long on a stream. And in the end, he decided to go out and try and help people and, be a hero, save his friends. And he died almost instantly. But I was proud that he decided to go out there and not just kind of skulk in that room.
Yeah.
And the most regrettable moment is, again, in this most recent episode. This is really for Elias. So Elias has been on a little bit of a roll. He's met his god. He ended the winter a little bit of time. Regal looks like he's really coming on as an awakened member of the founder. So he's feeling good, but he comes into East Haven, and it's like all his charisma is just drained away. He's brought this great cauldron back, and he tried to inspire the town to, use this cauldron to get them to think better of the founder, and everyone just laughed at him. He rolled a 2. Everyone was like, "You suck, give us the food." Edmund takes all the credit. Judas is like, "Go away, old man," and he feels really kind of bad about that. And he didn't enjoy getting stabbed either by and pretty much almost killed 5 hit points left.
Actually, what Julius said was rub-a-dub-dub, let's eat some grub, and everyone cheered.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Listen, at the banquet, they don't want the long speech. They just want the food. So
right.
All right, so real quick, couple of questions. I'm going to try to target one for each of you. I know, CJ, you had a bunch of questions here. We're going to try to pick some of the best ones here and go aim them at the group members here. So we'll start with Stefano, and actually both of you, Stefano and Andrew. Now that you have characters who are dead, do you find it hard to differentiate what your new character knows to what your old character knows?
Yes.
So what are you going to do about that?
I'm going to try and remember that my old character wouldn't know certain things. My new character wouldn't know certain things. Actually, I may in the next episode, we should just have a sit down and the characters can chat about things that have happened.
I think that's long overdue,
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do that because a lot of stuff just happened. I caught myself a couple of times, but I also feel like I caught myself silently a couple of times about things that I knew and what I didn't know. But no, but I don't know. I guess it kind of worked out for me. I was able to play it off pretty well without making any mistakes, as far as I know. I don't know. Maybe I have, but it honestly, it's kind of like Julius knows nothing. Really.
Well, he's
that's what made
it.
That's what made it so easy.
Yeah, fair enough.
And
go ahead.
Sometimes it was hard with the dwarfs as well, the Dwegar, when they came back, because my character wouldn't have had any, reason
nothing
to dislike them. But I really wanted to kill them all, as a person.
Well, now you've got a reason. You've got a reason now.
Yeah.
The next question is for Joey. Rogal has negotiated with kobolds. Attempted to negotiate with a hag. You were negotiating on behalf of the group with Arveaturus, the white dragon. All of those creatures would be typically considered evil. What are some creatures you would not negotiate with?
So I don't think Rogal believes in evil. I don't think he really thinks that's a thing that exists in the world. I do believe that that there really is nothing that he won't negotiate with.
Except for Growl.
Except for Growl.
I mean, that is
it. Listen, he's still subject to certain animalistic biases. Personhood.
Wait, hold on. He doesn't believe
that's the product
in
of the society
evil.
that he lives in. It's not his fault.
Oh God.
He doesn't. Wait, hold on. You went from he doesn't believe in evil to he may kill things sometimes because he's got this animalistic, societal animalistic bias. Yeah. Okay. He's a very complex character, everyone at home. Rogal is very complex. He's got layers.
He's the hero. He's the hero.
And each layer looks a little bit different.
Very different. But you know what? But like CJ said earlier in the campaign, you're consistently inconsistent, and we love that about you. So, no, but you know what? I personally, I think from someone who's not playing in the game, I do see his code, and it does kind of make sense in some way. But it is funny when you describe it. So, anyway, we're going to move on. Let's see here. CJ, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And please don't say anything about it because they don't know. But when are you going to use your secret?
I was very tempted in the last session. I think we might have to show up in a new town.
Okay.
But I was very tempted.
Okay, it's fine. Say no more. I just want to make sure you remembered it.
I do.
Okay.
Actually, I was just thinking about something I could have done in that last battle myself.
Well, I don't think it had anything to do with CJ's secret.
It does not.
But we'll find out what CJ's secret is soon, I'm sure.
I might need a refresher on when I'm allowed to reveal it.
We can chat about it. We'll chat about it. Yeah, we'll chat.
I do want to ask the group, if they do we know of anyone's secrets?
We know a lot. We know Everard's secret was that he was previously dead.
Do you guys know my secret?
No.
No, we're not. I don't think we're supposed to.
No.
Okay.
That's why it's a secret.
Can I tell them Flair's secret?
Sure.
So, I slept with a wealthy pasha's favorite concubine, and then he sent a whole bunch of people after me. So I fled the Sword Coast and went to Icewind Dale. And when I kept throwing my name Flair around all the time, people started catching on, and that's when they were about to find me. So we were gonna. Can I continue?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, it doesn't.
So
matter.
Bob had a fight ready, literally the session after I got killed.
Yep, the Lost Spire
that was gonna
session.
deal with my secret.
Right after that, I had a
Tragic.
Yep.
Oh my God! Can we still have that fight? And they fight us, and they're looking for Flair, and we're like,
I'm not kidding you, CJ. I'm not kidding you. I half in my mind was like, well, it should still happen. They should confront you and ask where he is. and like not believe you. Yeah.
Dead.
Totally dead.
I had that in my mind that I was gonna
Even if
still
they don't
go
want to
through
fight
with
us,
it.
they just
Yeah.
want to interrogate us about what
Yeah.
happened to us.
Now, Andrew, I don't want to say anything about yours because your secret is your secret, but we already know that you're reincarnated. But there may be aspects of Everard's backstory that might still come to play, so I don't want to say anything yet on that. But with yours, Stefano, I was so ready and never came up. But
I would
anyway.
still like to meet those people, though.
Yeah.
Now.
Well,
And kill them in my honor.
No,
So-
just tell them like, oh, Fladrian died in a hole. You can go find his body.
Bob,
yeah.
have I feel like a few times I've laid like a clue as to what my secret is.
Oh, I know.
Is it that you
Have you noticed? Okay.
always
don't-
want to talk
secret,
to
you're
bad
you kind of run away a lot. That's
His secret is that he negotiates with people that have like
No soul.
human faces, humanish faces.
humanoid?
Or dragonish face.
Well, I can say that because I know all the secrets and I know your characters, I know that Joey has probably revealed more about his secret than anyone. Edmund has not revealed his secret at all. Julius is too new, so no, you don't know his secret. Elias's secret is a little bit more, I think, than perhaps Edmund, because Edmund hasn't said anything about it. But no, I don't think anybody's secret has been exposed, or at least, but Joey's, yours, you've been doing good with giving out little bits, and I think when they do find out, they will maybe not be surprised because of the things that you've done. So we're gonna find out. But one last quick question here, and then we'll kind of close it out. So, group, what do you think the best solution to ending the winter will be?
I
So
think
we
it's to
have-
do with Sefik. I think we need to track down Sefik to his bolt hole, and there will be some kind of dungeon there that we have to crawl through and kill everyone.
That would be fantastic.
I just heard the word boat hole. I was like, I'm immature.
Bolt hole.
My poker face is on right now, so you can say anything you
My
want.
poker face is trash.
I think
Can I give two answers?
Please.
My first, like, obvious answer is, like, I think we have to take out O'Real, find O'Real.
I actually
Right. Yeah.
But I do think that we're going to find, like, Andrew, you were saying how the Spire seemed to be a red herring.
Mm-hmm.
I think that maybe the flying city of Yithrin, the rest of it, won't be a red herring, and we'll find out some very important clues there.
I think the Summer Star probably has a big chunk of what we need to work on, and because that seemed to be a great tool, and that again Yithrin will probably lead to more devices like it, where we can it's not that we're gonna have to fight Oril, but we're gonna have to like overcome her. Yeah, take notes, Bobby.
I'm writing down notes here.
Get out
Good
your-
ways
your
to
notepad.
end the campaign. Got it. Go ahead.
Julius, I'm surprised, Stefano, that Julius didn't say that we have to kind of slaughter a bunch of 10-towners because they were all in the cult together.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
And Joey, do you have any predictions of what the end is going to look like? How you're going to end the winter?
I really do think it's just gonna come down to like us clashing with Oriel. Maybe even getting like Lathander to come back and stuff.
Ooh,
It'd be pretty
good.
dope.
That would be cool. God versus God battle. That'd be cool. So, are there any more questions? Anything you have? Questions for me?
Yeah, I have a question for
Go
you,
ahead.
Bobby. Without ruining any possible future sessions, were there any like clues that we might have missed that were like kind of obvious, or that you thought were more obvious, but we were still able to get past them? Even that like there was something that like we should have looked more into, or but we've gotten so much further past it now that like we can't really go back to it.
Yeah, other than not going stealthily to the Duergar Outpost. That was a clue I think you missed. But no, like I've said, I try to prepare each session kind of going into it. I ask you at the end, knowing what's going to happen in the next one. So I do feel like I prepare it pretty thoroughly. And then things that you might overlook. If you overlook them, you overlook. I can't off the top of my head think of something that was like a huge piece of information you missed, and at least one that I cannot tell you yet. One that I can't spoil. Although I'm really shocked that you felt like you knew there was something going on with the ferry in East Haven, and for like 5 sessions you haven't even like walked over there. Like you have not even thought about it. That was a weird one, but yeah, I guess that would be the biggest thing. I was thinking of like, why aren't you going there? But I don't want to push you in a direction, so I kind of let you decide what you want to do.
I feel like you told us like the ferry was frozen, it couldn't move, so there was really no reason to go over.
That's what Dan said, something about it not being functional. But...
Yes, but you also saw the letter from Nildar, from Dirth to Nildar in the Duergar Outpost about that's where they should meet. So I was wondering why you haven't gone there, but maybe it's because you forgot that. I don't know.
Maybe you've just been busy.
No, we've been busy, and again, I thought that the ferry wasn't running, and that
that's true.
We were looking for like the captain there.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. No, I agree.
All right,
I was looking for info on Duergar.
I got another question for you, Bob. It's a quick one. If you had to put $100 on it, who dies next?
Well, can I put $100 on it? Because I can really make this happen if I wanted it to.
No, you can't.
That's a good point.
That's mean.
I think I don't think I should. I don't think I should answer.
Does Zinfo pay you $100 to kill my character? I was like, no.
I don't think I should.
Next. Oh, by the way, rocks fall, you die.
Yeah. I don't think I should answer it, but I think the character that is most like susceptible to dying, in my mind, would just be probably Edmund, because I think it's just harder to kill. So you're the rogue. Like a crit from like something like a black pudding would have killed you just as much as it killed Flair.
Absolutely.
Rogal now has the amulet of health, so his constitution's very high. Elias is pretty high armored. Just because of you're the rogue. If you get an unlucky roll, it could kill you more than the others. But I don't think that the way you play Edmund, you usually play him pretty cautious. You don't put him in a position to get killed. But
as a story arc, I think he needs to die. I think all the musketeers must be dead at the end. Otherwise, I'm going to fail a sense of like a lack of completion of the
Edmund
story.
will sacrifice himself at the very end.
I feel like if Edmund dies, then the party just disbands.
Wait, I'm still here.
No, Rogal is the hero, right?
Wait, who? I'm sorry, who are you?
Wait. You're a musketeer. Oh, you are a musketeer now.
I thought you were Bob's cousin who joined our stream.
Well, I think we're gonna leave it at that. But
leave it on nepotism.
Well, I will say one last thing on the character deaths thing. I told you from the beginning, the best thing about D&D is that we don't know what's going to happen. It's not a script. And I didn't expect to kill Flair. I did not expect to kill Everard that day. And it happened, and it just made the story so much better because of it. So if Rogal or Edmund or your new characters were to die, just know that I don't pull punches. I've always said when we started playing these games that I like to roll out in front. I never fudge dice rolls, because I think that the one thing that really affects the outcome in a way that we don't plan is the dice rolls. And so if you get the unlucky roll where you get critted or you get killed, and I mean, it just happens. And I hope you don't die. I'm rooting for all of you. I really am. But I'm not pulling punches. And if I end up killing Rogal and Edmund by the end of this, then it's a whole brand new group that ends up saving the 10 towns. So be it. But anyway, that's my rant on player deaths, how I feel about it. So if you're new here, I hope we've caught you up. I hope you get a feel for what we're like. We're very serious, very, very calm, very quiet group. I hope you enjoy this type of content. Joey can't even, he can't even control himself right now. So that's it. We're going to end it.
So serious.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this recap. And if you've been watching along with us, tell us what you thought of it. Did we do a good job? Did we miss any moments that you think need to be brought up? And it's Tuesday, which is only 2 days away. We'll have episode 20 of Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden. All right, everyone. We'll see you on the tabletop. Bye.